NFL football is finally back. I've been waiting, 8 months since the Super Bowl, and finally we can bet on NFL again. So the first thing that we always do with the NFL season is we look at future bets. I've got 3 futures here that I really think are great value. And as always, we're looking for value when we place these bets over the course of a season. We're looking for upside, and I found some really good bets here. So let's get into my 3 picks for the best NFL futures. A couple things to keep in mind when you're betting on futures is obviously, like I just mentioned, your money is locked up for a long period of time. So you want to look for value and you want to look for plus money payouts, ideally, just because your money's locked up for like 8 months. And then the second thing here is you always need to be line shopping, especially when you're looking at futures, because every little ounce of value that you can get is worth taking because you're locking that money up for so long. So as an example, if you wanted to bet the Chiefs this year to win the Super Bowl again, I wouldn't blame you for that. Let's say you've got a DraftKings account, and you have a FanDuel account and a Bet365 account, right? Let's say you got 3 accounts, 3 sports books. Well, the Chiefs are 500 plus 500 on DraftKings. You bet $100, you win 500. They're plus 550 on 365. You bet $100, you win 550. But they're plus 600 on FanDuel. You bet $100, you win 600. That is a huge difference between DraftKings and FanDuel. Imagine you're betting $1,000 on the Chiefs this year. Well, if you were to just simply place the bet on FanDuel, you would win an extra $1,000 at the end of the season if the Chiefs were to win. So line shopping is incredibly important. And this is across any bet, really. At the end of the day, you want to be line shopping. And so the Odds Jam Sportsbook screen is fantastic for that. So those are a couple tips just before we get into the picks. But without further ado, my first pick is actually going to be a Super Bowl winner, and I've got 2 for you. The number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. I genuinely think that the Chiefs are one of the best teams of all time. They have one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and this allows them, and they have a lot of returning players as well, and their team has been together for a long time. They've got veterans, they have experience, and they've got young receivers now too, with Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice is young, and obviously the best quarterback in the league. So I think that getting them at plus 600 on FanDuel here is great value. The Chiefs will likely drop down to plus 3, plus 400 pretty quickly into the season, as they, if they're playing well. So getting them at this number is definitely valuable. So my strategy with betting on Super Bowl winners is I like to take pretty much in my opinion, the best team available, which would be the Chiefs. I wouldn't necessarily blame you to look at the Niners or the Eagles. I think the Eagles have more value compared to the Niners. Niners are pretty much right there with the Chiefs. Whereas the Eagles, you're getting, plus 1,400 in some spots, which is basically, over double what you're getting on the Niners. And the reason I'm mentioning these 2 teams specifically is because they're playing in the NFC. And the NFC allows teams to make the playoffs way easier because the division or the conference is just the quality is so much worse compared to the AFC. And so being able to take, let's say the Niners at plus 600 compared to the Chiefs at plus 600, well, you could argue that the Niners actually have a better chance to get to the Super Bowl because their season's going to be easier. They're likely going to get a bye, and they're also likely to play a lower quality team in their first in the divisional round. They're going to probably have to play the Eagles in the conference championship, so that'll be a bit of a coin flip. But at the end of the day, taking NFC teams might actually make it easier. So my pick is the Chiefs because I just do think the Chiefs are going to be back in the Super Bowl again this year. But my second pick, like I mentioned, is going to be the Eagles here at plus 1,500 on DraftKings is the best value you can get. So if you have DraftKings and FanDuel, I would highly recommend taking the Chiefs at plus 600 on FanDuel and the Eagles at plus 1,500 on DraftKings. Now, actually, just very quickly before I go into my next pick, one reason that I'm taking 2 Super Bowl winners from 2 different conferences, and just in general why I like betting Super Bowl futures like this, is because this allows you to hedge later on. when you're playing, or when NFL teams are playing in the playoffs, this will allow you, let's say you have a Chiefs ticket from the beginning of the season at plus 600 and the Chiefs are in the conference championship. Well, this could allow you to hedge that bet and take the other team. And if the Chiefs were to win, well, now they're in the Super Bowl. Or you could lose that Super Bowl bet, but you won that single bet. So hedging and having the opportunity to hedge with large numbers at plus 600, like the Chiefs are never going to be back here at plus 600 unless they're not doing so well this season, right? So getting this number early and locking up that money is a little bit annoying because the money's locked up, but it gives you that chance to hedge and guarantee profit later in the season. Now, my second pick, and I'm considering those Super Bowl picks with the Chiefs and Eagles as my first pick. My second pick is actually another sort of two-banger, if you want to call that. I'm going to be taking the Eagles to win the NFC East. At minus 120 on DraftKings. I think that this value is absurd. The Eagles have an incredible roster that has been bolstered even more this season. They just got Saquon Barkley. They're healthy again. They have an incredible offense. Hopefully their defense can hold up as well. They've got another season under the belt. They went through their challenges last year. And so I think that they're going to be a really, really solid team to back this season. So taking them to win the NFC East, I think is a great bet. And then my second sort of part to this bet is to look at the Dallas Cowboys. And I just really don't believe in the Cowboys this year. And so I think that taking the Eagles to win the division, and then if we look at the Cowboys, I think either taking them to go under their win total or for them to not make the playoffs are both really good bets. Let me just find this market here. We can take a look at the value. So the Cowboys win total is actually at 9.5, which is interesting. I do think that there's definitely a solid likelihood that they do reach 10 wins just based on the extra game in their schedule. Going 10-7 wouldn't surprise me. However, the reason why I like this is because we're kind of correlating the two plays together. We're taking the Eagles to win the division, and for the Eagles to win the division, they've probably got to beat the Cowboys at least once, and so that gives us one more loss on the Cowboys season, and taking them under 9.5 here, we're getting great value. I mean, you can get under 9.5 at plus 140 at Circa. Again, you want to make sure that you're shopping around and getting the best number that you can possible. But yeah, it's all plus money, averaging around plus 120 or so, like on DraftKings and FanDuel there. But at Circa, you can get them under 9.5 at plus 140. Really, really good value there. The over is heavily juiced, so coming back on the under there at plus 140, I think is a great bet. So correlating Eagles to win the division at minus 120 and the Cowboys to be under 9.5 wins at plus 140, I think are really two like really, really solid bets to add to that futures portfolio. Let's finish things off live as I talk through and then select my MVP winner here. I actually haven't made a decision yet, so I kind of want to talk about this live with you guys and look through the odds and the options here. So obviously with an MVP winner, we're looking at quarterbacks. I really don't think it's worth going down and trying to be cheeky and take a McCaffrey or a Tyreek Hill or something. It's just pretty much next to impossible. Obviously, you get really good value at plus 5,000 on McCaffrey and plus 10,000 on Tyreek Hill. It's just not worth it. It's likely going to be a quarterback. So when we look at the quarterbacks, so many different things can happen in a season that for MVPs, I like to look at, guys who might be a little bit underrated going into the season and have breakout candidates here, right? So what I'm initially eyeing is Anthony Richardson at, plus 3,500. That's some crazy value. And right above him here, Tua at plus 2,500. Both of these guys, what we look for in MVP candidates is guys who have that upside, right? We in like the 99th percentile. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for absolute best case scenario. What can they do, right? So like if we were to look at, I don't know, Caleb Williams this year or Kirk Cousins or Trevor Lawrence, do they have that 99th percentile, what does that look like and how good is that? Is that good enough to win MVP? I would argue that Trevor Lawrence's best possible season still probably wouldn't beat out some of these top guys here if they also have a good season. So what we want to look for if we're taking long shots like Richardson and like Tua is the upside. Well, Richardson has that upside in Indy. He could easily rush for 12 touchdowns and over 1,000 rushing yards, plus the passing yards. And if the Colts were to win their division or have a good season, all of those things together could get him the MVP, right? He's a young quarterback. He's coming off an injury in his rookie year, and he has a lot to prove. And so if he were to actually ball out this season, he would be seen as a massive increase from last year, again adding to the MVP sort of like opinions of people, because that's the thing. The MVP award, it's not cut and dry. It's kind of it's an opinion award, and at the end of the day, we want to look for those upside chances. So that's why I like Richardson here. And the same thing with Tua. I mean, he's got an incredibly high-powered offense. If the Dolphins have a great season and Tua passes for 40 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, it's going to be difficult to not give him the MVP, right? I mean, it's the same thing as these guys up here. Burrow, Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, they're going to get their MVP if they get to 40 touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards, for sure. But the thing is, Mahomes, if he gets to, let's say Mahomes has 38 passing touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards, Tua has 5,000 passing yards and 35 touchdowns. Well, Tua's probably going to get the MVP award, because even if Mahomes has a better statistical season, Mahomes has won this before, and people have their expectation super high for Mahomes. This is at least my theory. We'll see how it plays out. So my picks, honestly, I think the best value on the board right now is Anthony Richardson at plus 3,500. You can get that on MGM, probably a couple other spots as well. And then, Tua, honestly, Tua at plus 2,500. He's got that upside, and I could really see him putting up some crazy offensive numbers just like last season, but sticking it through. That's the issue with Tua, and that's probably why we're seeing these high odds. So my favorite pick would be Anthony Richardson. If we're looking quickly at the top of the board here, I think that CJ Stroud is probably pretty underrated, very similar to Tua, where if he just passes for a lot of touchdowns and yards and the Texans win their division, I mean, he's probably going to win the MVP, right? So I do like CJ Stroud as a sort of higher percent chance for this bet to win, but less on the payout side of things. So getting him at like 1025 or plus 1,000 on FanDuel here would be the play. So to recap, again, with MVP, it's tough, to make this pick. So I like going for the upside. So I think Anthony Richardson, Tua, or CJ Stroud, all young guys, have something to prove, have a good offense, and so these guys could do well. And then, like I said, taking the Eagles and Chiefs as Super Bowl winners, one in the AFC, one in the NFC, with the ability to hedge it. And then also my second pick would be taking the Eagles to win the division, with the Cowboys on the other end to go under 9.5 wins at plus 140 in some spots. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sure you disagree with a lot of what I'm saying. Let me know what you guys have as your futures bets down below, and definitely check out our VIP Discord. It's super fun to be in there with the community talking about all of our bets, and we actually help you guys make money betting on sports using Plus EV proven strategies, up over $40,000 last season and already $20,000 this year. So hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and we'll see you next time.